Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nisrina Putri, and my student number is 166. Today, I'm going to present the summaries of 10 previous studies related to English for specific purposes, or ESP, focusing particularly on need analysis. Now, let's begin with the first study. The first study was conducted by Alfian Azhar Yamin in 2021, titled Need Analysis on English Language Used by Hotel Staff in Bandung. This was a quantitative study involving 27 hotel staff members, including managers, receptionists, and sales representatives. The data were collected through questionnaires distributed via Google Form, email, and WhatsApp during the pandemic. The study aimed to discover the necessities, lacks, and wants of hotel staff in using English to decide an ESP syllabus for hotel students. The results showed that English was considered very important. About 80% of respondents said so. The most needed skill was speaking, followed by listening, writing, and then the last is reading. The most essential language function was giving information about the hotel facilities and service, while major problems included nervousness, limited vocabularies, and difficulties understanding various accents. After seeing the needs in the hospitality sector in Indonesia, the next study takes us to another profession in different contexts. Textile engineering in Ethiopia. The second study, conducted by Medanit Balashu in 2020, is titled A Need Analysis of ESP in Textile Engineering Profession in Ethiopian Context. It used a mixed method design combining quantitative questionnaires and qualitative interviews. Participants included 156 employees from 6 textile companies and 8 interviews representing managerial roles. The study aimed to explore what English skills are required in the textile industry. The findings revealed that English plays a dominant role in communication for emails, phone calls, and reports. Speaking and writing were the most essential skills, particularly for technical communication, such as reading manuals or writing specifications. While Balachu focused on engineering field, the third study turns our attention to education, specifically the needs of postgraduate students and teachers in Algeria. The third study by Lamia El Mekta in 2022, titled Need Analysis and ESP Course Design, a case study of Institute of Nutrition, Food, and Agro-Food Technologies, used a qualitative approach. Participants were 12 doctoral students and 10 subject teachers. Data were collected through 2 sets of questionnaires, both based on Hutchinson and Waters' model of necessities, lacks, and wants. The study aimed to identify student needs and teachers' perspective to improve the ESP scores. Results indicate that students had a positive attitude towards ESP course but still face major difficulties with technical vocabulary, writing, and speaking. Both teachers and students agreed that time allocation for ESP was insufficient and should be increased. From education in Algeria, the next research brings us back to Indonesia, focusing again on hotel industry, but this time using interviews and observations. Okay, so this study conducted by Yuyut Tri Guntoro in 2021 is titled ESP Course Design for Indonesian Hotel Industry Need Analysis. It was a quantitative study involving 3 front desk staff and 1 hotel manager from Kapal Garden Hotel in Malang. Data were collected through structured interviews and participant observation. The purpose was to identify the lacks, wants, and necessities of hotel staff to design an effective ESB course. Results showed that speaking and listening were the most required skills. Here, we can see here. And staff lacked vocabulary and struggled with understanding foreign accent. They want to improve pronunciation and speaking fluency, while necessities involve handling checks in, checks out, and explaining facilities. The expected course should therefore be flexible and pronunciation focused. Okay. The next study also discussed hotel staff, but in different department, food and beverage services. The fifth study by Fajar Riantika and colleagues in 2020 titled Needs Analysis of English for Specific Purposes at Food and Beverage MRC Hotel Bandar Lampung used a qualitative exploratory research design, and the participants were five senior staff from the Food and Beverage Department. The data were collected through unstructured interviews with 11 open-ended questions. The findings showed that speaking and listening were again the most needed skills. Staff use English mainly for greetings, taking orders, confirming bills, and handling complaints. Their main difficulties included limited vocabulary and understanding different accents. Staff members also express a strong desire for a specific ESP training, focusing on practical speaking and listening practice. After hospitality related, the sixth study moves into the vocational education field, specifically among marketing students. The sixth study conducted by LD Dian Hidayat in 2024 is titled ESP Needs Analysis for Marketing Student in an Indonesian Vocational School, Insight from Strategy Analysis. It employed a quantitative descriptive approach involving 50 marketing students from SMKN 1 Bone, Indonesia. Data were gathered through Google Form questionnaires. The goal was to identify student preference in learning English, their motivation, and the most important soft skills. The result indicate that reading was the most important skill, followed by speaking, listening, and writing. Students preferred group work activities and were primarily motivated to communicate fluently and prepare for future careers. The next study focused on architecture, student and graduate in Iran, exploring both academic and workplace language needs. The seventh study by Muhammad Ali Akbari and Mahnaz Bohyari is titled A Need Analysis Approach to ESP Design in Iranian Context. This quantitative study included 49 architecture students and 70 and 72 graduates. Two questionnaires were used to collect data, one for students and one for graduates. The study revealed that reading was the most important skill, followed by writing, speaking, and then listening. Students emphasized academic needs such as reading term papers, while graduates focus on professional requirements like writing journal and communicating with clients. However, most respondents found their current ESP course ineffective, citing problems with textbooks and course duration. Continuing with the theme of academic English, the eighth study examines ESP for physical education students. Okay, the eighth study by Budi Eko Pratano and Suprayogi in 2020 titled A Need Analysis of ESP for Physical Education Student in Indonesia, adopted a mixed method triangulation design. Participation were 15 students and 10 lecturers from two universities. Data were collected through questionnaires and interviews. And then the study found that students had weak speaking and listening skills, but were more confident in reading and writing. Popular topics included English for sport journalism and communication for athletes, referees, and coaches. The study emphasized designing an ESP course that prepares students for diverse professional roles in sports industry. The ninth study shifted the focus to Taiwan, exploring ESP course design principles at the Technological University. Okay. Um, Conducted by Qingling Li in 2016, the study Principles and Practice of ESP Course Design, a case study of a University of Science and Technology, used a quantitative survey method. It involved 257 students, both English and non-English major. Data were collected using a 6-point Likert scale questionnaire and analyzed using a descriptive statistic, t-test, and ANOVA. Finding revealed that listening was perceived as the most needed skill, followed by writing, reading, and speaking. About 80% of students found ESP course useful. Interestingly, students with higher proficiency had stronger motivation to learn, while no significant gender difference were found. Finally, the 10th or the last study explored ESP needs among nursing students in Indonesia. The last study by Yuriatson Jubhari, Rosmiati, and Nurlia in 2022 titled Need Analysis in English for Specific Purposes for Nursing Students used a quantitative survey approach. Participants were 36 nursing students, 2 ESP lecturers, and stakeholders. The questionnaires was designed based on the frameworks of Hutchinson and Waters and Dudley Evans and St. Jones. The study revealed that students had moderate proficiency in English, with reading being the strongest skill. The most important sub-skill included reading instruction, listening to conversation, speaking to explain materials, and writing reports. All respondents supported the relevance of ESP for nursing, emphasizing its importance for professional communication in healthcare setting. In summary, these 10 studies showed that ESP needs vary greatly depending on the field, whether hospitality, engineering, marketing, or health sciences. However, a common finding across most studies is that speaking and listening are the most crucial skills for professional communication. Each study also emphasized the importance of aligning ESP course content with the real-world needs to make learning more effective and meaningful. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.